everybody, welcome to my humble abode. We moved, like I said, we moved in late February, so it's been about a month since I've made an actual video. I mean, I uploaded a Sonic video from a friend's, but this is going to be my first update video, so to speak, updating you guys in the situation. No, for the love of God, I'm not dead. It's just, I have no internet here. There's no internet service provider, no cable, no DSL, no a high-speed internet. In fact, there's a high-speed internet location just a little while, but because of the trees surrounding the house, we can't get it. You know, the signal flickers in and out, so the guy basically said, we can't give you reliable internet connection. So I'm screwed. I mean, and those portable, you know, hotspots, they come with data limits, and I would blow through the data limit in a day. I think they have like 5 or 10 gig data limits, and I would blow through that in much less than a month, so to speak. So, basically, I'm here just to let you guys know, again, I don't know how I'm going to be able to upload. I'm basically going to be stuck uploading from friends and public places until I can, you know, fix the situation that I'm in. I like being here, but the instant I found out there wasn't any internet, so I couldn't, you know, bring videos on a daily basis, that was a bit of a downer for me. But, that's the update, so to speak. So if you're just here for an update, you can turn the video off now. But I felt the need to make a follow-up, a second take at a very controversial video I had made 2 months ago that brought a lot of people in comments out of the woodwork. There was a game that I said was not that great. Despite the fact that I had only, and maybe unfairly so, not had played more than half an hour of the demo. In fact, you know, I went back and I played another half an hour of the demo. I didn't really like it, but you know, it's sort of peer pressure, and you know, the fact that I had a gift card that I could use on the game and this Motion Plus controller. I got it. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and wow. There were a lot of people who were offended by what I had said, and you know, I can understand why they were offended, because I didn't give the game a chance. I've given it a chance now, and to all of you who were offended, I can say that I'm truly sorry. I hate this game still. I've sunk 10 hours into it, and it has not really grown on me in the slightest. So, you know, I can honestly say, it got to the point where I even received 3 death threats from people who were all like, you're not a true fan of the Zelda series. If you were a true fan, you would have bought the game like a loyal fan. And, well, loyal fan? That terminology sounds awfully fanboyish, but okay. It sounds very single-minded and consumerish, if you ask me, but whatever. Since we're on the subject of loyal Zelda fan, let's do a little bit of a history lesson here for those of you who haven't watched my channel for God knows how long. I'm sure everybody knows what this is. You haven't seen it in physical form, but of course you've seen the timeline retrospective I've made. This is of course my version of the Legend of Zelda timeline. It's not the most up-to-date version, but you know, it's the one that garnered my most views. It's got 15 of the 16 Zelda games, and it was the one that I made when Skyward Sword was just being heard about. Now, if you look at this timeline, you will see 2 Zelda games that I haven't played and beaten. If you look at this timeline, you'll see 15 Zelda games. I've beaten 13 of them. Care to guess which 2 I haven't beaten? Take a guess right now. Okay, time's up. If you guessed 4 Swords and 4 Swords Adventures, you're correct. Because of the multiplayer. Well, 4 Swords didn't require multiplayer, but I mean, if you wanted any fun for the game at all, you needed the stupid GameCube to Game Boy Advance peripheral for multiplayer. And you couldn't even play 4 Swords outright without having a GameCube link cable, and the only people I knew who had those were Pokemon fans. That's the only reason you bought those things. So, yeah. Needless to say, I've played through and beaten 13 of these 15 games, 13 of the 16 in the main series. And for this timeline, this very timeline, I played through and beat 2 games that I hadn't beaten before. Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. Now, I guarantee if you ask about, I guarantee less than 25% of the fan base, probably less than that, has actually beaten Adventure of Link. Hard-ass game, tough as nails, and you know what? I stuck through it, despite how unfair it was at times. I stuck through it, I beat it. That's my little badge of honor. That's me being a fan. But, you know, since we're not going to count the like 150, 200 hours that I have spent in total discussing the timeline in various videos, which is such a nerdy subject that you have to be a fan to actually give a damn about something so relevant. Let's also mention the fact that I have a Master Sword replica here. Obviously, it's not in the best of shape, but you know, it's the Master Sword replica. Cost me 60 bones, so yeah. That's my little bit of nerdy fanboyism, but I'm not a fan. At least not a fan enough for 3 people to send me death threats. So let's just go through and pick this game apart for the little bit of it that I've played. Like I said, some 10 hours into it. I've only gotten past the first 2 dungeons. I don't intend to play it anymore. In fact, the only reason I would consider buying this game is the soundtrack that comes with it. It has 8 songs on it. It's an awfully expensive OST to me, especially when you consider you can just listen to them on YouTube for free, but whatever. So, Skyward Sword. I hate it. Let me count the ways. Well, first and foremost, I've already mentioned the fact that this... What the hell? I mean, I will go through. I will slash directly horizontally. Link will think, for some reason, a lot of times, that they'll be slashing diagonally. I don't know why. I don't know what causes it. People say to recalibrate the controller. I do, and the problem acts up again 25 minutes later. I have to sit here and constantly do this every 25 minutes? That sounds great. Okay, I would equate this, and again, a lot of people say, well, it's unfair to do that because of motion controls. I would equate that to pressing the X button and having an O button be the input that's on the game. Is that an unfair assumption? Is it pushing too much on the motion controls? Well, it shouldn't have the motion controls so rooted if it's, you know... And I'm not the only one that has this problem. Granted, not everybody has this problem, but a lot of people have this problem for a game that relies so much on the motion controls. And... okay. The story. I will admit it's an origin story. It describes the origins of Link, Zelda, and what would become the soul of Ganondorf demise. Oh, by the way, spoilers. I might as well just put spoilers in the title. Okay, so there are... It describes, you know, what turned into Ganondorf, the soul of demise who would come back to haunt the souls of Link and Zelda, and they would be caught in this eternal, tumultuous struggle. Okay, fine. And Hyrule is always the battleground, and there's a couple of exceptions here and there, but for the most part, that's the essence of the series. And if you are as much of a timeline nerd as I am, you probably have to at least play the game, or at least watch it all the way through. I had the luxury of watching it, because I don't know if I could trudge through the rest of the game, despite, even if I didn't know what was going to happen. It's an origin story, so if you're interested, look it up on YouTube. Okay? But... And I'm not going to say that it can't be fun at times, but it's so frustrating so many more times. It's just not immersive to me in the slightest. You know, usually, this is all I need. This is all I need. Just a standard controller. It doesn't even have to be this one. It can be the Super Nintendo controller. But, I don't know, whatever. They seem to be of the assumption that they're going to do this with the rest of the Zelda series following this. I don't know. All future Zelda games are going to have some motion crutch attached to it. Whatever, that's fine. It's not my cup of tea. I've played through this one enough to know that I probably won't buy the next ones if they have it. Just my opinion as a consumer, somebody who's smart with my money, or smart with the money of people who have, you know, this is the last stupid purchase I'm going to make, at least as far as Zelda goes. At least as far as Nintendo goes. The stupid purchase that I made before that, well, everybody knows what this is. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, why is it so sacrilegious to badmouth Skyward Sword but not Other M? Oh man, well Other M is a bit. No, 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 no. These are not mutually exclusive. Okay. Other M has its share of flaws, but guess what? I can't think of many that are gameplay flaws. At least Other M is fun to play. I mean, the only stupid thing that's involved is the fact that Samus has concentration so she can recover health and missiles without actually having to get pickups. Okay, that's a little stupid, but you know what? That's nitpicking. You know, that has really nothing to do with the core essence of the gameplay. So as far as gameplay goes, Other M, you know, is a smash out of the park. It's a 3D version of what Metroid Fusion would be. It draws very heavily from Metroid Fusion. And I'm sorry for going off on a tangent about this, but you know, there's a lot of points about Skyward Sword that I'm going to bring up that, you know, you could look to a lot of other Nintendo games and see the same thing. Well, another problem that I have with Skyward Sword, and trust me, if it were the only problem I had, it would be a great game, because it's not that relevant of an issue, but it is an issue regardless that I feel the need to bring up, is, you know, ever since The Wind Waker, the Zelda series has had, and a lot of the Nintendo games in general have had, the Animal Crossing syndrome. You know, the very jibber-jabber nonsense voices that, you know, are supposed to say something, but you listen to them, they're like synthesized to sound like they're saying something, but you know, you'll play it and you'll play it backwards, and neither direction makes any sense. So it's jibber-jabber false voice acting. It's a cop-out for actual voice acting. My problem is, and I'm a sucker for voice acting. A lot of people who know me know that I'm a sucker for voice acting in a game. There's been many, many good examples of video game voice acting. Well, my problem is, you know, don't go halfway. Either have no voice acting or have full voice acting. You don't even have to have a voice for Link besides his grunts and groans. But everybody who actually speaks in a Zelda game, give them a voice. Don't give them some bass backwards fucking and just, it's annoying, it's distracting, it's really stupid. And, you know, a lot of the people who will defend that point of view will say, well, Nintendo's done voice acting before. In fact, they did voice acting in this game. And, you know, it sucked. It was pretty bad. Well, the problem with that, I don't know so much about this game. This game had some really wonky voice acting. But, I mean, Mario is a very bright and colorful series. It's very, you know, lighthearted. It doesn't have to take its voice acting seriously. This, on the other hand, a lot of people badmouth, I think her name is Jessica Martin. She's the new voice of Samus, because she's talking like this all the time. She's always describing things in a very monotonous style. And you know what? I hate that too, but I don't blame her for that, because I've heard the woman speak. She's a stage actress, and anybody who knows anything about stage acting knows is that you need to have a very strong presence and, you know, build yourself up. So I don't blame Jessica Martin for how Samus turned out. I blame Sakamoto, who basically had his hand throughout the entire project. That included the voice acting. And he said, you know, sound like this, sound emotionless when you're doing your exposition as Samus. So she did that. You know, you do what your boss tells you to do. But I've heard the woman, and in fact she has some very good bits with emotion as Samus. Now, of course, the problem with that game is that it took a lot of liberties, and there is, of course, the fact that it drew a lot of source material from the official manga, which if you took, you would be lucky to find 5% of the Metroid fan base that knows a damn thing about the official manga that introduced Samus's post-traumatic stress disorder, the thing with Ridley. And by the way, that game fucked up Ridley too. I might make an entirely separate video about that, I don't know. But there's just a lot of liberties that were taken, despite the fact that it claimed it was following the source material, so whatever. I have a lot of problems with Other M. It's not a good game, but that's just my opinion. Just like it's my opinion that this is not a good game. Now, I could understand why somebody would like Other M, but the fact is that its cutscenes were so mind-numbingly awful, and you couldn't skip them on your first playthrough. And nobody's really going to go through that game a second time. Nobody I know, anyway. So, whatever. Other M sucks. That's my, my period on that point. But, I mean, for the love of God, if you're going to have voice acting, you can get professional voice actors. You can go to California and get some of the most, well-known voice actors and, make them something. I could think the three main characters, Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, who could do, pretty good grunts and sound heroic without actually speaking, or who could speak if, God forbid, they ever decided to make Link not be, the Link from the player, the avatar from the player to the game world. That's what he is, and that's why he was named that. At least that's my assumption of why he was named that. But that notwithstanding, Johnny Young Bosch could be a great Link. If you don't know who Johnny Young Bosch is, well, whatever, look him up. A lot of people know who he is. A lot of nerds like us know who he is anyway. Steve Bloom could be a great Ganondorf. And hell, you've got Jessica Martin. Don't have Sakamoto at the helm, and I'm sure she could be a great Zelda. As well as Samus. But, I mean, for the love of God, I'm not a stickler for it one way or the other, but have voice acting or don't have voice acting. Don't have... And my God, and that's going to segue into this subject. You see this bitch in the background? Fee. The people who say she's worse than Navi, they're right. Oh my God. Just popping up like every 10, 15 minutes of gameplay to tell me what we already know, what we've already established. I mean, I know that Zelda is for all ages, but I didn't need this much hand-holding when I was a kid. That's exactly what the problem that I have with Fee. She's too much of a hand-holder, her voice is annoying, her dialogue is annoying, everything about this bitch. This is the spirit of the Master Sword, or the Goddess Sword, which would become the Master Sword. Well, let me tell you what, I'm glad this shit doesn't come with it, because if it did, I probably would have broken a long time ago. And I could probably easily break this shit too, because it's pretty cheap. But, again, that notwithstanding, Fee, just so fucking annoying. And the story... It takes forever to start up. In fact, I pine for the days of Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts 2 when I'm just trudging like through the mud, the molasses that is Skyloft. God, it takes forever to fucking do anything there. I don't care about Link's stupid rival, what is his name? Groose, whatever the hell his name is. I don't care. The most intriguing thing about it would be that Link and Zelda have this sort of, very subtle love story for the first time in like 20 years of Zelda. It's literally the first time since like Adventure of Link that there's any hint of romance between those two. But okay, that's cool. Fine, have that. I just, the one thing that kept me playing through Twilight Princess was probably Midna, and Fee is a poor replacement for Midna. Yeah, I'm back on the subject of Fee again, but when you have these helper characters, you try and make them redeemable in some way. Navi was the first, so I can forgive that, but I mean, Tattle and Midna both were, had the wisecrack, sarcastic attitude. The King of the Red Lions was the King of Hyrule. And then, of course, you have Zelda in Spirit Tracks. She's a pretty good helper character, too. I like it. It's good. Fee is just nothing. Fee is worse than nothing. Navi was nothing. Fee is something that... Fee is nothing trying to be something. I don't know. Just annoying that they had to give the Master Sword a personality, and... Ugh. Like I said, the story, when it does start up and gets rid of the stupid exposition at the start, Zelda's father, who you meet for the first time, well... Yeah, this is the first time that you actually meet one of Zelda's, an incarnation of Zelda's father, so that's pretty cool. But besides that, going down into the land of Hyrule below, it's mind-numbing. Go chase after Zelda, who's apparently been kidnapped, but not at all. You find Girahim. Oops, Zelda's not here. She somehow escaped to the sky again, so you go back in the sky, you go back down. It's just this game of cat and mouse that from the cutscenes I've ascertained takes like 30 hours to actually come to any point of the game. And at that point, after you've blown 30 hours, at some point you have to wonder if it's worth it, if it's really worth the time investment. I would honestly advise anybody who hasn't bought the game just to do what I did, spoil it for yourself on YouTube, because the gameplay, it's standard Zelda, just with waggling, and for people, like I said, it's infuriating to me when I'm trying to do things, and I'm doing things very precisely, going... Basically what they've done is taken all of the puzzles out of enemies and bosses, because my fight with Girahim in the forest, whatever the hell the forest temple is in this game, my fight with Girahim took 15 fucking minutes. And it wasn't me fumbling around trying to figure out what to do. Obviously, you have to find some opening in his defenses. Well, I'm trying in vain so many times to find some way to actually hit him reliably. I couldn't. So it literally just degenerated to me doing this frantically until I did something. And you know what? Puzzles with bosses haven't always been that simple-minded and cheap in difficulty. People say this is the most difficult game in Zelda since the days of the 8-bit games, or maybe A Link to the Past, I don't know. Since the 8-bit games, yeah, sure, it's the most difficult since those games, but it's not the right kind of difficulty. Because in those games, you weren't trudging around figuring out, okay, how do I reliably use this controller to kill this boss? No. In fact, if you want to look at boss puzzles, you can just look at the simpleness of Wind Waker. The final boss, Ganondorf. Well, first, the combat in that game did, rely heavily on parrying, but okay. So you parry, but then he figures you out, so you have to find something else. Then Zelda shoots him with light arrows. So then he knocks Zelda out of commission, you have to survive for a little while. Zelda gets back up, she starts trying to shoot him with light arrows again. He's wise to it, so he keeps dodging it, or blocking it, which is pretty cool. It's epic. You feel like you're making some form of progression rather than the same puzzle again and again and again. And in the end, how do you hit him with a light arrow again? You use your mirror shield. That's pretty awesome. You use your mirror shield, bounce it off. It's not something that you needed your handheld for you to figure out, but it was something that, when you did figure it out, you felt like you were, you felt triumphant. I don't feel that even when I succeed in this game. I feel like it's just bogging down what could be an okay game, but what is, at its core, a Zelda game that hasn't changed its formula, its base formula, since Ocarina of Time. And that's just annoying to me. People will badmouth the Sonic series, but I have always praised the Sonic series for being able to constantly try new things, because it's better for me to try new things and completely fail than to stick with the same, safe, stagnant... That's exactly the one word that I can use to describe the Zelda series. I love it, but as far as gameplay goes to me, and as far as its core, it's been stagnant for God knows how long. Nothing about it has changed. The story has changed, sure, but a lot of the people who bashed the timeline and bashed all of us nerds who theorized about the timeline it's just a game. Nobody gives a shit about the story. We like the gameplay. Well, guess what? The gameplay hasn't evolved since 1998. That's the truth. And I'm sorry to say, giving me something, if you're going to have motion controls, they have to be perfect to be justified. And I don't consider this perfect. I tried the PlayStation Move at a demo, and I didn't put more than 5 minutes into it, but I at least considered the PlayStation Move to be more reliable than the Wii Motion Plus playing through Skyward Sword. And it's the only game I could think of that would warrant the purchase of a Motion Plus, which, they come built in with most new Wiis you purchase nowadays, but you know what? What about those of us who, didn't buy a Wii late in the game? What about those of us like me who bought it at launch before the the Motion Plus was ever conceived? We're out $40 or at least $20 trying to find a Motion Plus attachment. I went to every GameStop within a 30-mile radius. I couldn't find one. All they sold were Motion Plus controllers. So you know what? I squandered away $40. I squandered away a gift card on Skyward Sword that could have been used for something else. I don't know, but whatever. So that's all I got on that subject, guys. Yeah, I bought the game. My opinion hasn't changed. So have a good day, everybody.